Guys, yesterday was game day, and your boy went to the theaters and seen Black Adam. And I did a quick out of the theater review. If you guys haven't went and checked that out, please go do. I'll give my full review here. Spoiler free, no spoils. We'll hopefully be able to do a spoiler discussion a little bit later once Shane or Lucas or somebody has time to check out Black Adam. But here's my thoughts on it. I had a rocking time, man. A couple things. We had talked about the popcorn containers going in, and I had seen that they had made like a Dwayne The Rock Johnson his kind of like body, and that was the popcorn container, and you eat out of his body, and that I thought that was brilliant because, you know, Dwayne's got such a giant body. But when I got there, man, they didn't have any. They didn't sell out. They just never got them. So if you want those, apparently you got to get them online. So I was not able to get a popcorn bucket, but I probably would have. I did not see any signs for the special Black Adam cocktail. But then like right before I went into the theater, I caught like one of those screens that's like flipping between advertisements. And I just caught a glimpse of Dwayne The Rock Johnson's signature on the bottom of one of the drinks. And I was like, okay. So I go to the bar and I'm like, do you guys have one? And they're like, yeah, we do. And it ends up being his like signature drink, which is some alcohol that he obviously has business in, and it's like a spicy margarita. It had kind of this that red Tajin spicy Mexican kind of.
Maybe when we do the spoiler review, we should get some of those drinks into the studio, and we should review the movie while we enjoy The Rock's favorite drink.
For sure, I loved it. It was awesome. My wife loved
great.
My wife loved it too. It was really good. I'm so glad that I caught it because I at first I was really disappointed. I'm like, damn, no popcorn, no special cocktail. This is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. If I knew him and could get a hold of him, he'd be like, hey, what the hell is going on there?
How many people would he kill?
Right. But yeah, so I get into the theater. My wife and my daughter are with me. We seen it in Dolby Digital. The best way you could possibly see it. It's basically their version of IMAX with 4K, multiple laser projectors, and the sound system in that Dolby auditorium is just off the wall. But yeah, that being said, movie started immediately. We started a kind of a backstory about I can't remember the name of the country he's from. Begins with a K, I want to say, but about, ancient time and all this. And then we pick up to, kind of Black Adam being awoken. And yeah, and then we get into the movie. And from that point forward, guys, it's like full blown action. Like the pacing of this movie is crazy. Like it's nonstop. There's little moments where you kind of get to settle down, but it's like right when you're starting to feel settled that bam, here we are again. And honestly, I love that about it. Shane, as I was telling you, and everyone should know, I'm not the biggest action fan. I'm not the biggest fan of action movies and stuff like that, but there was a lot of Superman-esque kind of action going on, but like, Superman, really fucking some stuff up, not the kind of stuff that we would see Superman normally doing, but with the ability, right? He had
like the reverse coin.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, he is zipping through the air, dude. He also can do a little bit of things Superman can't do because he can like teleport, right, with his magic. So he can, oh man, and listen, the body count in this movie is ridiculous. This movie should be rated R, no doubt.
After the edits.
The only reason it's not is because there's no blood. That's the only reason it's not. But, I mean, he literally rips a dude in half. He electrocutes a dude to dust. I mean, again, the body count in this movie is ridiculous. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is very, what's that word for when you're... stoic and you don't say much. Brooding. He's very brooding, which is different because he's definitely a very charismatic guy, and I think that there's there's like a bit of that kind of seeping out, which you don't want too much of it, right? Because it's Black Adam, but it's just enough where you can see like, you know, hey, this guy could be, you know, a good dude at some point, you know? And I loved that. As I said in my out of theater review, dude, Shane, get me every Dr. Fate, everything you have. I want it all. I'll buy every single thing. I want comics. I want figures. I need that helmet. I need that helmet. Dr. Fate is awesome, man. Like, I love this character. It was so well done. I don't think you could cast better with Pierce Bronson. I thought it was awesome. Man, I loved everything about it. All I've walked away with the most is wanting to know more about the helmet, more about Dr. Fate, more who does it choose, how does it choose, all of these things. Oh my God, I ate that Dr. Fate stuff up. And I thought that that character and the Hawkman character, honestly, were the best parts of the movie. I really do. That being said, overall, I think this isn't a very good movie. It isn't, you know, like the Batman. It isn't like well written and have this, you know, real movie feel to it. This definitely feels like a kind of what I imagine. I'm not a fan of the Fast and the Furious franchise, and I don't watch it. But what I imagine those movies are, you know, just action-packed, fun-filled adventures. It definitely, you know, falls into that category. But it not being that great movie was overcome by such badass moments. Like, you would have these moments throughout the film with Dr. Fate, with Hawkman, with Black Adam, that were just so cool that by the time the movie was over, I was like, man, I had a blast. And even though it wasn't that great of a movie, that being said, it's I think if we can go over here, I think I have it pulled up on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. So Shane, it's sitting at a 42% critically, and audience has it at an 88%. So this is one of those few times where we see like a real big difference between, you know, the critics and what the audience are thinking. And I predicted this on the show just the night before. I said, this is going to be one of those ones where it's a 90% audience, 40% critics. And it's looking like that's the case for sure. And I don't know if this movie is an 88%, you know, on that level, but man, this movie's definitely better than 42. I will say that. But I get it, though. I really understand the score, especially from a critic's point of view, because it really felt like this movie was trying to check a lot of boxes, Shane. Like, throughout it, it was, you know, as Marvel does a lot now, we're starting to feel it a lot more, I believe. But this was... it was doing the box checking, but again, like in between the box checking, you'd have this so badass moment that you'd almost forget that we were box checking. And then we'd check a box and you'd kind of feel that feeling again of, this is kind of just, and then bam, something so cool would happen again that you just kind of forget it. And then by the end of it, of course, they hit you with the last thing being the Superman scene, right? And the post-credit scene. And so then you walk away with that, which is such a cool scene in itself.
And you just want more.
Yeah. So by the time it's over, you're like, fuck yeah, this was awesome.
Well, you know, when it comes to audience versus critic scores, I always feel like with superhero movies genre, I definitely like to side with the audience score, because the inverse of that the last DCEU movie had was Aquaman. The critics loved it, but the audience didn't.
Right.
And it was awful. It was so bad. So I'd much rather go into a Black Adam movie where the audience are like, "Oh no, it's really good."
Right, for sure. And I mean, Shane, this is definitely one of those movies I think that overall you would feel somewhat like I would feel. I know you're not as into, you know, a lot of the modern, you know, superhero flicks and stuff like that. But when it has really good storytelling and really good writing and stuff like the Batman, you can, you know, obviously enjoy it because it's a good film outside of just being a good comic book movie. Where again, this felt like it was trying to tick boxes to do to be just that. But it's definitely not in the in the pantheon of all the comic book movies. It's not up there in my top 10 or anything like that. But man, I'm gonna be honest with all the stuff I've seen this year: Thor: Love and Thunder, and everything's just been. At least this was a blast, man. Like, I walked out smiling ear to ear. Couldn't wait to do my out of theater review. I had a lot of fun. Maybe it was that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson cocktail that gave me such an adrenaline packed rush to have such a good time at this movie. So thank you, Dwayne. But yeah, it was really great, man. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, again, one more time, it's not like a great movie, but it just has so many great moments that I think you forget that it's not that great. Where like a movie like Morbius I recently watched is like a 14 critics and like a 78 audience. It's a bad movie. It's almost like a guilty pleasure kind of bad movie, like the original Mortal Kombat movie, right? Like it's bad in a kind of a funny, good way. Where this is not like that. This isn't that bad. This is just. It feels formulaic is really the main issue that it has.
And has Jared Leto in it, too.
Yes, and yeah, how I feel about that.
That's already like 20 points knocked away just going in.
Right, for sure.
Talking about the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's mixed cocktail, has anyone ever done, how like you get like pairing menus, like, oh, if you have this wine, have this cheese, or if you have this drink, have it with. I wonder if someone's paired drinks with films. Like, hey, if you're having this type of, margarita, here's a perfect margarita
That's awesome.
movie.
I love that idea. I really do. In fact, man, it boggles my mind, really, Shane, that I did not only did I not have popcorn containers shaped like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's bust, but I thought Dwayne was going to ship glasses out and his cocktail would.
Right? Oh, that'd be awesome.
Come on.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what's going on.
You would have paid $50 to get a
for sure.
mug.
Honestly, another thing I'll mention is going into it, Shane, I realized that something I've been trying to say for years, and I think they're kind of starting to do it, and which I think is great, is AMC Theaters is kind of putting out maybe like 5 or 10 exclusive collectibles for each film when they put it out. So what they've been doing recently is they do these plaques, very beautifully well done plaques. They're $150, couple $100 maybe. But on the plaques, you get so many actual of the 35 film reels. Like,
Like the frame
and they're completely random, so you don't know what you're gonna get. You could get the Superman scene, or you could get a car blowing up.
The only problem with that is you can't really see it unless you put it up to light.
No. They put it. It's
like backlit or something.
Yes, they put like something
cool.
on there that you can definitely see them. I seen they had one for the Batman that had each one of those came with like 15. Where the Black Adam one only comes with 4 each. But I'm sure that they will have a lot more of these going forward for more films. So when I seen that, I was thinking, dang, man, maybe I should get one of these. I hadn't even seen Black Adam yet, and I was like, that's pretty cool though. Like, it's a really interesting collectible. I also seen that they teamed up with Todd McFarlane to make these like figurines, like a Black Adam, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
His figurines are really nice.
Come on, right? And who doesn't want a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson Black Adam figurine? They're sold out, Shane. It was the only item on the Black Adam collectible list that was sold out. So everyone wants a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson Black Adam little figurine statue. So but I'm gonna really give some thought to the whole collectible 35 millimeter reel thing, because again, each one is kind of valued differently as you get it, because if you did get one with those Superman scenes, right,
sure.
You'd be,
you could get like,
right?
They pan from a tree, and so you got just like a leaf,
right? Well, you're always complaining to me about our blank space back here behind me.
Yeah.
We can hang a whole bunch of plaques of 35 millimeter film reels. Would be awesome,
especially if you can see what the frames.
Yeah,
all lit
for
up.
sure,
That'll
for
look really nice.
for sure. Yeah, so that's really cool, and I'm glad they're doing stuff like that too, because it just makes sense, right? I mean, the movie theaters don't make a ton of money from selling movies, or selling movie tickets. Obviously, they sell popcorn is where they really make their big money.
Always has been.
And right, and so and honestly, I know it'd be a lot more difficult, but I think with something like the toy itself, like the statue collectible toy, man, you might have to just have those at AMC, man. People would buy them. I would buy those.
Yeah.
Right?
See it in person.
Right? We may have to get some of that stuff out there, you know. We say all the time, where movie theaters are, you know, need more and more of that revenue, right? Mm-hmm. It's just getting worse and worse. So why not, you know? And the same thing with the cocktails. I think there should never be a time when you guys don't have a popcorn bucket. Like, I spoke to the manager about it, and he's like, dude, I don't even know what happened. He's like, we just didn't get anything. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. He's like, well, we got some Black Panther Wakanda Forever buckets. You know,
okay.
You want one of those?
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'll take that.
I'm like, I'll wait. I'll wait. I don't want to.
Yeah, but you could have brought it with you.
Right. I'm like, I don't want to spoil, you know, my experience when I come up here to
see it.
He's like,
scene on it.
He's like, and I can tell you that I ordered the Avatar ones. And I was like, okay, cool.
Does that actually have a release date?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It comes out just the beginning of December, I want to say.
Oh wow, it's really quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And so at least we'll get a couple more popcorn buckets moving forward. You got to have a Way of the Water for Avatar cocktail that's like blue with some carrots.
What about the big jumbo extra large whale popcorn bucket for when the whale movie comes out?
That would be awesome, right?
Like family size.
It's like The Rock's bust, but instead it's
Brendan Fraser in a fat suit.
right. And you got to like eat your popcorn within 7 days. But yeah, but yeah, guys, I had a blast at Black Adam, man. I really did. I had fun. In fact, I had so much fun that I was just telling my wife today when we were on the car ride home. We're talking about how terrible Halloween Ends was, and I brought up to her that, you know, but Black Adam really made me kind of reinvigorated for movies and remember that, you know, there is that stuff that's really fun, and that's the stuff that makes us go out to the theaters, especially these days. And I was like, you know what, maybe we got to go out and see Black Adam again. Like, I haven't done that in a while. Like, honestly, since Infinity War and all that stuff.
I feel like you saw Endgame.
Yeah, Endgame, right. Yeah, I seen Endgame probably literally 30 times in theater. Mm-hmm. But since then, I don't think I've gone back to see. I wanted to go see the Batman again, but it's just so long.
Well, and it was streaming on HBO Max
like in a week.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I didn't go to the theater to see it. I just, you know, waited at home.
Right, you waited a week.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, well, you genius. Yeah, yeah. Not me. I like to spend all my money.
I just had to listen to a week's worth of people talking about how the Batman was too long.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because that's all anyone wanted to say about it.
Yeah.
Is it any good? It might have been too long. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, we will try to, at some point, do a spoiler discussion where I can go deeper into some of the stuff that I really liked. I don't want to spoil anything, obviously, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But yeah, definitely go out and check this out, guys. Like, it is a blast. To couple this with the first main topic, I just want to talk about also what it was able to do in the box office just last night, right? And this is coming to us from Variety, I believe. No, I'm sorry. This is the Hollywood Reporter. So, box office last night in early previews just on a Thursday made $7.6 million, which is pretty good. That comes in close to like what Shazam did, what the Fast and the Furious kind of franchises do. But that being said, it only puts it as a projected opening now at 60 million, Shane.
And I think they were wanting 70 is what they originally.
If you remember, we reported on the channel last week that they were hoping for a 100. Well, I think it was 145 million opening weekend. And me and you were like,
I mean, that's so.
This is going to be the first $100 million opening weekend since.
I mean, that's better than Batman, right?
Yeah, and I expect it to do better than the Batman. It should do better than the Batman. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is The Rock, man, and this is, I don't know. I want to say that it's going to do more than $60 million this weekend. So,
I would hope so. I guess we'll see tonight. Tonight's the big night,
it's
Friday
his passion project, and I think if I remember right, they spent like $270 on this thing.
Oh, I believe it.
$260 or something. So, and that's not marketing. Nothing for marketing.
That's just to the effects.
And that right there, guys, may be why I didn't get my Dwayne The Rock Johnson popcorn bust. They were overextended. They just couldn't afford.
They had to cut back.
Yeah, there was too many cutbacks. Again,
Come on, Time Warner.
I just want to say, if Dwayne was out there somewhere and I could get a hold of him, he would have been.
Dwayne, hit us up in our comment section. Let us know how we can get a popcorn bucket.
Yes, we need that popcorn bucket, Dwayne. We need it. We need to eat out of your body. There's just so much room for popcorn when it's your body. So, yeah. But, yeah, guys, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, you should. Again, made 7.6 just on the Thursday night alone. So, it's doing decent. And I think that I think it'll hit over the projected 60 million, but we'll see. Shane, what do you think about that? You think it'll do over 60?
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I know theaters are down in general. They're needing a big return on this one. Not just, DC Warner Brothers, but just theaters in general, getting crowds back out to the theater.
Well, I think specifically, too, for the comic book genre, right? Because really since The Batman, we haven't had a movie that's like worth really going out and
seeing.
It
seems like all the comic book movies news is going over to the TV shows as well.
Right.
So a lot of people.
Well, I always say we're in the golden age of television, man, or our streaming vision, or
definitely streaming,
whatever you want to call it. But in that format, we're in the golden age of it. Like we're seasons and stuff. I mean, it don't get better, man. Like.
I think for us to be in the golden age, I think the content is out there. It's just so impossible to weed through it. There has to be a better way. I think once we get to a solution where, they're profitable, but they're able to put out quality material and let us know that how we can watch it, then I think we'll reach the golden age. But right now, there's so much that just slips through the cracks that I'm just like, that came out. I had no idea. Yeah,
for sure. But when it's what is good is like cinematically good, and that's what I mean by it. Is that it's we say it all the time about movies too. It's hard to find a movie that isn't. This looks good, like polished wise, right?
I mean, I think television definitely looks better now than ever.
For sure.
But I think to me the appeal of television and why I wouldn't say it's the golden age, especially since streaming has taken over. I think the golden age was probably 20 years ago, 15 years ago. It was back when it was serialized. Each week we got a new episode, and then I could talk to my friend or my wife or my coworkers about it all week.
But they were still getting that, right? We got that with WandaVision. We got that with Twin Peaks Season 3.
It's very few, and they don't last very long. I mean, WandaVision was 2 months, so we had 2 months.
But when it does, it really at least.
And then you have programs like Stranger Things where it's like, well, here's everything, or Cobra Kai. Well, here's everything.
But that's not that format. That's a different format, right? The TV format is like a week-to-week release,
but I
right?
think with streaming, you have people even like me where it's like, well, I'll wait until I can just binge it. With Lord of the Rings,
I agree, but see, back to your point, though. But once you get around the water cooler and you hear all your friends and shit talking about it, at some point you're like, man, I got to check this out.
I think the whole reason we have spoiler alert in the, in our whole nomenclature now is the fact that we aren't on the same page, that we're not on the weekly show, that, I can talk about this show openly because we all saw it. 400 million people in the world saw this episode yesterday.
Sure.
I mean, we're not like that. It's like, spoiler alert, I'm going to see that this weekend, or spoiler alert, I'm waiting until whatever.
I think it just depends on what it is, right? Because like I said, with WandaVision, we all showed up, we all did that. I
think that's very few and far between is a WandaVision. And that was, 2 years ago?
But I think that these other people that aren't doing it this way, no, it was
2021, yeah.
The people that aren't doing it that way, like Netflix with Stranger Things, even they're starting to learn and figure it out, right? Because they put those last 2 episodes out like 2 or 3 weeks later. Yeah. Because even they know, like, look, dude, people will talk about it for as long as it's coming out.
I think I just read something, and we're totally off base here, but I think I read something where Netflix said they weren't going to abandon the binge approach. That's going to be their model. They just want to put it all out there and just have it available.
Yeah, they like that because they're really the only game in town talent that's left doing it, right? So then you can get your people that like to do it the other way can go anywhere else. But if you want to binge it all, you can come here, and that's worked to an extent. But when it comes to marketability moving forward, like how many toys and items and shirts, and that's really where you make a lot of your money. When we all watched it and we finished it last night, we're not going to keep talking about it 8 weeks from now. But if the newest episode is just coming out 8 weeks from now, we're still talking about it for sure.
And that's why I think they're just too short. I mean, they're more like mini-series now than series.
Yes, for
sure.
sure.
You know, it's like, oh, I get 8 weeks to commit to this, and then, you know.
But even like take a series like Chucky. I mean, Chucky's a perfect example. Yesterday was Wednesday night. We got around the TV to watch Chucky, bro, on Sci-Fi. Like, to me, that sounds, if you would have told me something like that was an option 10 years ago, I'd have been like, that's never going to happen.
Well, like, I'm not saying that. I agree with you in the fact that television is probably never, I mean, we can't really call it television, though. Stuff that we watch on TV, on our television set that's in our room, the quality's probably never been better. I just think that because there's so much that we lose, to me, you know, like...
I agree to that.
You know, I'm not a big Office fan, but, you know, this is a good example for you. You know, you could quote an Office line.
Yeah, sure.
And you'll be in a room where people were like, oh, I know that.
Right.
Because we had that shared experience because we were all fans of this when it was coming out.
For
and
sure.
I feel like there's just so much, and it's so, kind of like Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. I want to watch both of those.
Right.
But I'm only watching Game of Thrones right now, and then I'll transition to Lord of the Rings. I just can't keep up with the amount of great stuff coming on that it's hard to have this shared experience with people anymore because it's like, are you watching it? Oh, you're not. You're watching that show. I need to jump on that, and now I got like this list of shows that I'll never catch up
I
on.
agree to that, but like I said, when it's really good, like really good, and it is coming out week to week, then if it's good enough, word of mouth will get back to you, and at some point you're gonna be like, God, I'm not gonna wait for this, and you're gonna want to check it out.
You know, I agree, but I just feel like
that's what happened to me with Squid Games. I didn't want to watch Squid Games.
Well, again, that was another mini series, and that was
true.
I just feel like, you know, the days of like Lost. You know, 15 years ago. Or
greatest series ever.
And I know that you weren't on Battlestar when it was coming out. But for like a year, it was nothing but who is the final five. You know, I want to know. And we would talk about our guesses and stuff. So, you know, it was built up for like 2 years we could talk about some of the stuff. You know, Lost 6 years. You know, what's going on? You know? You know, and again, I feel like 99% of everything that comes out now is better than Lost. I wasn't even that big of a fan. But there was just something that attracted all these eyeballs to it, and that you know, they wanted to keep up with it all at the same time. And again, I'm not saying that that is better than what we have now. I just feel like in this new streaming platform days, we still haven't got to the golden age yet because we're still figuring it out. Right.
Yeah. And again, I agree to that to an extent, but I think when it is hitting on all cylinders, there's nothing like it. Like it is. I mean, even to me, I think it does, in a way, surpass a cinematic experience for me, because I don't know. Like I get built up for it, and it's just something I can look forward to. You know, me and my wife, we're gonna do this, you know, on Wednesday, and on that I don't know. It's just a different feel completely.
You know, that to me right there brings some optimism into my world, because to me, cinema and films, of course, they're entertainment, but the reason I fell in love with cinema and film were the auteur directors. You know, these amazing artists that wanted to create art and not entertainment. And the fact that the streaming, series are as equally good, at least technique-wise, even story-wise, acting-wise, it doesn't even matter now. You know, these shows are just equally as good as these films. Maybe that will kind of drive more of the entertainment into the series, which I think works better for like a Marvel or a DC series, that you're able to tell multiple stories. And that kind of leaves the whole cinematic arena for the auteurs, for like, you know, the Coen brothers or Robert Eggers coming out with a new film. And then, you know, more of the entertainment is just a series that's on Netflix or something. I could see that happening, and I think that would kind of balance the scales and bring us more of this art and film that, you know, I'm always looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but guys, back to what we were talking about. Black Adam.
What were we talking about?
If you haven't seen Black Adam, go freaking see Black Adam. Black Adam rocked, man. It was great. I loved it. Go see it. Have the cocktail. The spicy, what did I call it? Margarita threw me off. Like I'm looking at the picture. I'm looking at Dwayne's signature. I'm like, did he really sign off on this? And and there's like little speckles of like spice in the drink, you know. And I'm like, I don't know. And even like the lemons that it came with were like roasted with spice, like grilled with spice in them. Very interesting.
They went all out.
It was awesome. It was super tasty. But yeah, had a good time. Have the cocktail. Go see Black Adam. And stay tuned for eventually we'll do our open spoiler discussion so we can talk about all those cool things that we're unable to talk about today.